In a rapidly shifting society, now more than ever, it is essential to stay grounded. Balance is key, but harmony is better. Here, we provide the keys to tap into the divine masculine without sacrificing the divine feminine, because confusion not transmuted becomes confusion transferred.
This is Divine Masculine Activated, a weekly Tuesday evening tap-in brought to you by Mastermind Connect and curated by the good brothers JD Weatherspoon and Courtney Grange. We invite you to grab your activation method of choice, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and bring your whole self into this space.
From the green spaces of various sorts, you from the couch, me from the house, we in ship, right?
We do get a lot of green going on, but you know what they say, green's for the money.
And also for better backgrounds on camera shows. But,
especially with our complexion. So, you dig.
You know how that go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, pronouns of all ages, to another episode of Divine Masculine Activated, brought to you by Mastermind Connect. We are here for part 2, 7 pounds of pressure.
That part.
We did tell y'all that we was going to do it. So we did it. Because we do what we say we was going to do.
Principles are important.
Just like JD ended the last episode, I said what I said. But here's what I meant. So, as always, thank you for coming into the space with us. Please like, share, subscribe to this web series. If you know somebody that needs to see this conversation, send it to them. If you know somebody that talks about this type of stuff, send it to them. If you just want to try to make somebody upset by sending them something really positive, because sometimes people are that dumb, send it to them. Sorry, I'm on one. I apologize. But
that was slightly petty, but whatever. No need to apologize.
Man, I have gone almost 3 seasons with being very, very low on my pettiness.
So third time's a charm. Okay, so it only took 3 years for y'all to start to see who Courtney Grange really is. That's what that means.
Anyway, let's get this. JD, what's the poison for today's chosen few that came in with us?
I mean, listen, it's that what's that? That thug motivation 102. 7 pounds of pressure. With our guys coming back again for the go round. We had to spin the block twice, so you know what I'm saying, Country Wayne in the back. And Boris Chestnut is joining him. I'm gonna call Greg that for the rest of his life, bro. I think that's great. His skin's still even. I'm mildly annoyed and mostly in awe of how he does it. But that's cool. That's my personal stuff.
Listen, man. So he out chocolates you and he out beards me. So
whoa. Relax. Wow. Anyway.
Wait a minute.
I'm muting you. So part 2 of our conversation with Greg Dawson, the second, and Wayne Bey on sacred sexuality from the lens of the modern black man, right? What are we doing? What are we diving into? What's the main topic we getting into, Grange?
Let's see.
Shame, right?
Shame, black male sexuality.
Right.
We're going to dig deeper into that sex energy work or body work that the good brother Wayne gets into. And along that structure, right, we're going to pull in this whole 7 pounds of pressure conversation. Without further ado, let's bring these brothers in and let's make it do what it do today.
Exactly, man. Make it do for part 2, which is cheesily awesome because guess what? Greg is the second. But anyway, I'm bringing in Wayne first. That's what I was trying to say. I'm hot. Shut up. Without further ado, Wayne and Greg.
What's up, bro? What's up?
What's good?
What up, brothers?
What's going on?
What's going on? Appreciate y'all having us again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man.
I appreciate y'all making time for us, man. I know y'all over here, like, busy in the streets.
For sure.
So, all right. Yep. Today we are continuing what we're going into shame and how it impacts Black male sexuality, sex energy work. What else? Key Valley.
So the sex energy work, we are going to tie in like that, the conversation around the 7 pounds of pressure and what was actually happening there, and like let the good brother Wayne break that down for us, and let everybody know what body energy work really is versus like, oh, this one small part that people got to see in that scene.
Okay, listen, all black is all black. So
that's where we at.
Before we get into this, right? For those who may not have caught episode 1, number 1, go get that whenever you get a second. But for all those who are newcomers, Wayne and Greg, can you respectively give people a quick little blurb about yourself so they know who they're dealing with?
For sure.
Absolutely. My name is Greg Dawson.
I'm Wayne.
Go ahead. You got it, man.
All right. So I'm Wayne Bey, Energy Alchemy 1 on most social sites. I'm a Reiki Master, a root worker, and a Tantric Energy Healing Practitioner. And I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee.
I'm Greg Dawson II, a.k.a. Boris Chestnut. I changed the name for you, JD, so you can go ahead and see that I'm down here representing my alias. Boom, wow. But licensed clinical social worker operating out of the city and state of Dallas, Texas. New to these tantric spaces, new to healing, and, just here to thrill and to be happy with my boys talking about all the things.
For sure. Thank y'all, brothers, once again for joining us for this follow-up episode.
Right.
Where we starting off, JD?
I mean, at the beginning. And so the final point, funny enough, the beginning was the ending of the last section. I touched on, I said what I said, but here's what I meant. Right? And that is, for me, a very telling phrase, because the more I said it, the more I realized what was behind the words that I said, right? It's like saying the silent part out loud. And for me, I was still keeping it hushed. And many of us are. And a lot of that is connected directly to shame, right? It's the lack of willingness to trust oneself with the ability to say exactly what it is they want to say without feeling the need to filter it at all. And that's not the absence of diplomacy. You can completely be blood raw and also still be considerate and respectful, right? That being said, many of us hold ourselves back. We don't stand in our true power, and we limit ourselves, not just in terms of career potential, like finding the right person, but just not giving yourself permission to hold space as authentically as we probably could stand to, and how that affects most aspects of our lives, and that includes our sex life, right? And so, Boris, as a sex therapist, how do you approach addressing shame in your work?
Well, I think a lot of what therapists like myself as a sex therapist have a issue with is really learning how to navigate the spaces of somebody empowering themselves through sex, because there's a lot of ways to be empowered through sex, right? Even if they've had sexual trauma. So how do you navigate that? Sometimes it is really tough, even with patients that I had or clients that I've had. It's really tough to really get them, of course we have to see them where they're at, but, working with them so that, if they so choose to have sex again, this doesn't have to be something that's harmful, and working with them and helping them, reclaim their power through sex. Doesn't always have to be penetration. And that's the beautiful thing about Tantra, right? And so just doing that to reclaim their power it can be a task, but that's why we're here. We're here for that work. But understanding, shame is such a powerful hold on so many people. And when it comes to working with clients that are in coupled situations, one of the things I really teach them, or I try to teach them, is you have to have the power. You have to be able to have the power to say yes, but also to say no in these spaces. And if not, you're going to be re-traumatized. You're not going to be able to navigate these spaces in any kind of healthy way, shape, fashion, or form. And so, we just do the best we can to hold space, like you said, for our clients, and we just kind of go from there. But it's like in Tantra, one of the major things that we understand is holding space for somebody else. That's what I learned, through Grand Trine, is learning how to hold space for somebody else. And we get there.
For sure. I dig it. Brother Wayne, you come at this from not very different, but from a different perspective than a lot of times when we hear from Greg. Where does shame show up in your work with clients?
All right, so shame is basically programming. You're programmed to try to live your life through other people's ideals. That's where the shame comes in at, right? So my work is done on a massage table. The shame represents as not having a full experience, not allowing yourself to just let go and be free on the table. Even when I was coaching the men during our illumination weekend, shame could show up as you worried about being judged. You don't want to allow yourself to make sounds. You don't want to allow yourself to let go. You don't want to look crazy. So it shows up in like what we call a restricted sexual response or a restricted response. You can have a full experience. It's a lot that can be done. Like some people can have orgasms for 30 minutes on the table. But shame is like a barrier. They're worried about what people are going to say. Are they looking crazy? And that's kind of how it shows up on the table.
That's interesting.
It's funny that you say that. Oh, yeah, no. Like listening to you speak, I could feel almost like a loosening of tension right here.
Yeah.
In the chest. Because I don't know too many people who can't relate to specific moments in their life where they held themselves back.
Right.
Like we restrict ourselves from our fullness on a pretty frequent basis. To be honest, the more I realize how much I've been unintentionally limiting myself, the more actually I marvel that I've been able to get anything done. Like we hold ourselves back often. And so in what ways do body work, whether that be Reiki or Tantra work, like how does that help with sexual shame from your experiences?
All right, so when I'm working with somebody on the table, all of this different stuff, like the body, that book, The Body Keeps Score, or the body, cells, trauma, all of this stuff is an energy frequency, an energy pattern. So basically what we're doing when we're doing energy work, we're trying to break up those patterns. And you don't just have a cellular body, you have an energy body. So these different shame, fear, all of this different stuff is stored in different places in the body, different energy frequencies or whatever. Like in Grand Trine, we kind of go off the the Chinese 5-element system. So within that, you have the heart carrying anxiety, the kidneys carrying fear, the liver carrying or storing anger, the spleen carrying worry. So we know this going in. We like when we take the diagnostic, well, not necessarily diagnostic, but when we meet the new client and we're trying to talk to them and figure out what's going on with them, we know to go to certain areas in the body. And we might use a mantra to break that up. We might use energy to break that up. It's different things that we'll do. But the body stores traumas.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the book won, but to your point, the body keeps score on all things that we're experiencing.
Right.
I have found, I noticed that same thing from the Taoism perspective, or not necessarily Taoism, but more like Eastern medicine, with like acupuncture, right? A lot of times where they're placing the needles isn't where the actual pain is happening, but it's where either where the pain registers in the body or where the pain, let's say, can stem from, right? Because where something stems from versus where it's actually being identified could be two different things, right? Like we talked about in the last episode when we were getting into the male orgasm, right? Like we understand it from an ejaculatory perspective through the penis, but it actually starts way, 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 way in the back of your body, more close to your sacral, your perineum, your anus, those spots back there is where you start to feel the movement start to happen first. And that is just anatomy, right? When you look at not where your testicles and your penis are located, but where the actual semen is stored in your testicles and the path that it takes to get to your penis, it goes back up and then out, right? So it's something to be noticed in terms of like we feel that whole experience if we allow our bodies to get into it.
All right, so by now, pretty sure the vast majority of our viewership has seen the infamous 7 Pounds of Pressure episode of P-Valley, where Diamond helps Mercedes remove pain on her shoulder by utilizing Reiki. Now, what a lot of folks don't realize is that right now the real live version of Diamond is on our screen, and he's wearing a red shirt. I'm not gonna name no names. That being said, so like Wayne, can you really break down for us what Bodyworks is and how it's being used to remove 7 pounds pressure?
All right, so first I want to say that on P Valley, they wasn't necessarily doing Reiki. Energy healing is a wide range of stuff. So I just want to make sure it's known that wasn't necessarily Reiki. It's a lot of different energy healing modalities out here, right? So like I was talking about earlier about the body storing trauma and the cells having memories or whatever. That's what we were seeing on there with Diamond helping Mercedes remove the trauma, the emotional impact of the experience. She was still carrying it around. And a lot of people are like that. We carrying around all types of trauma in our cells, the traumatic memories. We're holding on to a lot of different stuff. Some back pain, some shoulder pain, some like in real life, these are real life situations that can happen where the energy just gets stuck, man. So, yeah.
A quick question, Wayne, on that one, because now you've got me thinking about the episode and how initially Mercedes experienced some shame around this. Is there any correlation between shame and trauma when you're talking about body work? Like, do you often find that the trauma is like, oh, there's some shame that started first? Or, how does that look when you talk about body work?
So the trauma piece, right? I think for a lot of times the trauma comes first. So, and they kind of tied in together, right? Because like, just say it's a molestation case or some type of rape case. A lot of times they might have felt pleasure, but they felt like this is wrong. Like, so it's this conflict, this conflict. There's this is a bad situation. This is traumatic, but I also am experiencing pleasure, but I don't want this. You dig what I'm saying? It's a very complicated piece. So then they start feeling shame for feeling like some women may have gotten, just say, wet from a rape, but it's their body's natural response trying to ease some of that pain. But they might feel, and I have ran into this, that they feel shame for the fact that they had got wet, they had got lubricated during a traumatic experience. Some women have like they call it consensual non-consent. A lot of women are into that, but they don't like to talk about it. They feel shame around even wanting to experience that. But it's about them taking control of the situation and taking control and having given permission and feeling safe. It's like a reprogramming of that situation. And I run into that a lot, actually. So the shame and the trauma typically are going hand in hand for different reasons.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And two things I heard there is, well, consent. You know, society has a huge issue with consent, and you know, us having the freedom, women and men, just people in general, to be pleased, just to experience pleasure. We just have those blockages where we just don't have the freedom to do that. And then the sex education part, you know, there's a lot of people that don't understand, you know, the vagina is just, you know, its natural process is to get wet and open up and get ready to receive, right? And then, you know, having the shame, thinking that, oh, I let this man do it, but you didn't. This man didn't have the consent. And, you know, the education and us holding space through these tantric places, right? It really is something that's healing for people, but especially women or people in these that had traumatic experiences. Us just holding place and letting them know that it's okay. We're here for you. We're here to heal. You know, and you know that really works with the traumatic situations. Is the way we hold space for them. So that they can work through the channels, they can process that stuff, and they can work through different chakras to be the healthy person, the sexually healthy person and spiritual person that they want to be moving forward. And I've seen that brother do it. You know what I mean? Live. I've seen him do it. It's not some bullshit. It's the real stuff. But you have to learn how to feel. And society has a problem understanding how to just feel. We're too much up here, especially I am.
Right.
I've had to learn how to get down here into my heart and to feel. And that's one thing that's blocked when you have a traumatic situation. You're always thinking up here, and it's rarely down here.
For the sake of self-preservation, right? Like, because experience has taught you that, like, you can't trust this. This puts us in danger. This makes us vulnerable.
Yep.
This specifically, like the left side of it, this keeps us safe.
Yeah.
And so it's muscle memory. And so, like, it's, for me, it's been consistent, like, and progressively deeper reprogramming of what my nature is. Like, what part of my nature am I going to give the most of my energy? Is it the fight or flight response? Is it unwavering faith? Is it like mild curiosity? Is it something else completely different? And so I realize now, like, back to when I think last episode, there was a statement that Wayne made. It's like, funny enough, I think that's what started the shame conversation. And I could actually, there was a physiological response there. Like, I could feel a knot of tension, like, release, because it tapped into something where that there was a memory and an experience, right, that was attached to what the feeling was.
Yeah.
And so that idea of shame and what shame meant to me versus releasing whatever that idea, what version of idea that Wayne had, that he was just talking about from something that was completely unrelated. And I was still able to identify with the sensation of releasing that.
I wonder how, like, because now as we're moving this conversation forward, especially around body work, energy work, and shame, there was this concept that I got a chance to learn about when I was working with the elders I talked about that taught me, like, sacred seed technology, this concept of bliss, and how when you're talking about from an orgasmic perspective, bliss is kind of like the highest crescendo of the moment. And that moment can last, you know, for a time, depending upon what the situation is. But once you get to that crescendo moment, you enter a place of what is called bliss, and how it really blew my mind that, like, bliss wasn't just a space where, like, heightened sexual pleasure can be actualized. Bliss is also a portal. And so when you're talking about, like, the healing aspect of body work, of sex energy work, a lot of times what's happening is a person is, and Wayne, jump in, you know, to keep me honest here. A lot of times what's happening is a person is allowing themselves to surrender to an environment of bliss.
Right.
And then what's coming through that portal is the healing or the relief from the trauma or the acceptance of something that has occurred. And now that you've allowed it to come through, it no longer is stuck in whatever part of your body is experiencing the trauma or the pain.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
I'd rather learn blissfully. Like, I've had hard lessons.
Yeah.
So think about like what bliss does. Like, it's not all pleasure, but it leads you there. Well, pleasure opens you up.
Yeah.
It's much easier to receive whatever life is trying to show you when you're not tense about it.
Right. In Tantra, we say that bliss is like our natural state, really. So if you think about where you were as a kid before life started, attacking us, you're blissful. And we define bliss as being a combination of joy, of peace, and of grace. And if you put all of those together, then that's what we consider bliss. And it's just our natural state before life started getting in the way. We actually had a ceremony a couple weeks ago where a friend of ours during the Illumination weekend that we keep talking about, we invoked the spirit of bliss. And it was like, imagine like 20 people all just, it was like a scene out of a movie, man. It was like an orgy without the sex. It was like an energetic orgy. Like everybody,
eyes wide open.
Yep.
Everybody's just, in their own place of peace, of joy, of grace. Like it was just a very smooth, like it wasn't, when I think of bliss, it's more subtle. Even though it's the high, it's the highest, it's more subtle. Like sometimes you'll see people all wild and like when they're having like the wild, crazy orgasms, that's not really bliss. Bliss is more of a subtle, smooth calmness that just takes over. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, open up that portal and allow things to come in. You're aligning back to your natural state, your natural self, your original self.
And I want to say, I remember during that illumination, Wayne gave me a piece that helped me to get from here and to stay right here, right?
Yeah.
And it was just a breathing technique, and I'm pretty sure y'all have heard it all. It's just basically in through your nose and staying there, right?
Yep.
Right. But when doing that, he was saying, now visualize yourself on the beach, and as the water is hitting yourself, right, as it's coming in, now you're giving yourself back to the earth.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, now I can practice that and get this shit out of my mind and stay right here. And after that, I was there for Illumination weekend. In my mind, I'm just like, divorce. Are my parents okay? Or are these people okay? And I wasn't able to receive, even when we did Reiki work or any kind of work on me, I wasn't able to receive until he said that. And then, that was my opportunity to stay within bliss after I was able to do that.
That's real good, bro. I'm happy to hear that, man.
Yeah. My man said, over here giving me a gift, shining on him.
Shine down on them. So keeping in that conversation of bliss, because we're talking about it, from this, it feels like somewhat of a external perspective, but personally, have any of you all experienced bliss? Like, can you say that you've actually experienced it, and what was the experience like if you have?
So for me, I have experienced it, and like I said, that's how I felt. Like I know the difference between like just having a great orgasm versus the bliss being subtle. It's just some people call it a euphoria, but you feel that joy, you feel that peace, you feel that grace, you feel that oneness. That's about the easiest way I can explain it, man. It wasn't anything dramatic. It was just like a very subtle experience, and you feeling the joy, you feeling the peace, you feeling the grace. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything like super dramatic. It was like just a calm euphoria, if you will.
Nothing to like that Illumination weekend. I haven't. And then, now I understand how it feels. It was an extreme level of peace. It was, I felt like I was on a whole different plane. There wasn't anything that can get me off of my square. And learning how that felt, now I get some bullshit from work or maybe somebody calling, and I can stay within on my square. I don't jump off of that so easy, right? Because I know how that feels to have extreme peace, to have the calm. And just doing the necessary meditative work and breathing work, I understand how I can get back to that and maintain that. So I can't say that I had bliss to that level ever until, 2 weekends ago. And so now it's the maintenance that I'm doing to make sure that I stay on my square with it.
That's good, man. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it, man.
For sure.
For real.
Look at that brotherhood, student and teacher friendship.
Oh gosh. Well, for real. So I know we coming up on that in these last few minutes, man. I do want to extend my personal gratitude. I know we have our gratitude attitude at the end, but preemptively giving the praise and the thanks in advance. Just the energy exchange is definitely planting a lot of seeds here, right? To the point where I want to make sure that we extend the invitation and also, bounce that ball in the audience's court. And Bliss, right? What does that mean to you? Can you recall an experience where you feel as though you were in bliss? And maybe if you haven't, perhaps this is a great time to contemplate and just really sit with what that means to you based on where you're currently at. The more that we continue to, remunerate the simple truth that there is no wrong answer, right? Like we're already perfect in whatever our state of being is at the moment. It's just what version of that we want it to be. I think the easier it'll be for us to lubricate the process of identifying what our version of bliss is, so that when it happens to us, we don't miss the gift, right? And so, Court, before we transition this, do you have anything that you want to get into before we get these resources?
I think you walk the dogs pretty well, good brother. I extend the same level of deep gratitude to Wayne and to Greg for jumping in with us, man. Like this was exactly why we needed 2 episodes to get this done. So I appreciate y'all abundantly for your time.
For sure, man. Thank you for having me. For real. And I really like how y'all set it up, man. This is a great space for Black men and for people in general, man. But I really appreciate y'all for having us on. Y'all doing a great work, and I hope y'all keep it up, man. For real.
Hey, man. We appreciate you. That's why we are here. This is what we like Paul Pierce said when he went to the Wizards. That's why I'm here. Thank y'all for coming in. These resources. But there's a movie from 1997 called Bliss, where my elders that I was working with in the Rites of Passage that I mentioned, this was actually one of the parts of our learning journey was to watch this movie. And man, when I tell you it broke down this concept of bliss in a way that forever opened my eyes, I highly recommend it. It is, it's a movie from 1997, so don't expect it to be too groundbreaking from terms of how it looks visually. But in terms of the content, it's a lot of what we've talked about here, but then some more depth into the concept of bliss. So I highly recommend that one for anybody that is interested in that part of the conversation that we got into around bliss. Brother Wayne, we talked a lot about body work, about sex energy work. And are there any resources that you would recommend for people who want to know more about that, learn about it, or experience it?
Okay. I think I dropped this last week, but GrandTrine.int.com there you can pick up a book called The Holy Grail of Orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a book that was so impactful. It was like I had been on my Tantra journey for like 10 years. And as y'all can see, I got a gang of books. A lot of the books I was buying, searching for something. Like I'm searching for this table work, this energy work experience. And they was all falling short. But in that book, the author, Yao Morris, he put so much in there that I was like, I got a little sad. I got sad because I felt like, dang, my mentor about to transition. Like that's how much detail is in the book. It made me like, damn, he really put it all out there. Like this is going and when people got it, I don't think they realize how deep the book is, right? It's like there was a $600 course that he put basically in this $30 book. So it was so impactful, man. I also want to talk about Matak Chia. You mentioned him last week. He has some books on the Chinese 5-element system. He got about 20, 30 books. Yep. But if you find the Chinese 5 elements, he got some Qigong references. But any book by Matak Chia, he gonna have like the Chinese 5 elements. That's important. And also The Body Keeps Score. I think we mentioned that earlier. That's a great resource. Taming the Tiger by Peter Levine. Now that is a book about trauma, healing trauma basically, and working through trauma. And not just sexual trauma, but all types of trauma that we store in our body. So those will be the ones I'll drop for you.
For sure. Brother Greg, aka Boris Chestnut, any resources that you would provide for us on this journey that we are taking people through today?
Absolutely, man. I got one from the sex therapy perspective. It's called Sex Made Simple. It's what practitioners can use, but it's really what the common person can use, whether you are trained in these spaces or not. It's a quick flip to whatever the issues that you're having, whether you're single or in a relationship of any sort. It has some stuff you can use to assess what you have going on. I get my general biopsychosocial assessment from that book. And so it helps you, okay, yeah, I'm dealing with this because of this history, or I'm dealing with this because of whatever from that book. And so that's a good one. It's by one of my favorite professors, Barry McCarthy, Sex Made Simple. And then two, one I got from Grand Trine. I know Wayne knows about this. Heart and Soul Level 1 Integration System by DJ Green.
Yeah, for sure.
Just staying right here, learning about the heart and staying right here and getting to that so that you can empower yourself through these tantric spaces. I think that's a good book. So that's it.
For sure. Thank y'all, brothers, for coming in and vibing with us again this week. We appreciate we appreciate y'all circling the block with us. And until next time, man, we appreciate y'all coming through. Thank you.
All right, peace. Appreciate y'all.
Peace.
Yeah, man. Keep shining.
Whew.
Right.
Okay. I need
that just happened.
Man, I need a nap, a massage, a sandwich. Ooh, we got into it this week.
Yeah, I know. Like I need to go do like a full foam roll.
Yes.
Chiropractor yoga session. Also because the stool's not super comfortable, but also because of the work that just happened. Right.
It's happened. Yeah.
We're gonna set some folks free with this one.
That's what we're here for every step of the way.
Indeed. And if you think about turning back, we got the shotgun on your back.
Be ready. Yep. And the ladies got one on their ankle too, so don't play with us.
You understand? I wasn't gonna say that though. Listen, they don't need to know that unless they need to know that. But with that being said, let's get these gratitude attitudes and latitudes in. Lead out with the gratitude piece, because I definitely gratitude is for the continuation of this timeless legacy, right? Of unearthing like the magnitude of our brilliance, and not just from the sake of like intelligence, right? Conceptual brilliance, but just how much light is within each of us. Like, it is the philosophy between people, all there is light. And so, like, I think the more that we continually, like, set our intentions toward embodying what that bliss is, rather than just explaining it, you know, the easier it is for us to recognize it without getting overwhelmed by the glare and tripping, popping all out of place. So,
man, 1000%. Let's see. Building on that from the attitude perspective, this one is for everybody, for men and women alike. There's so many things about ourselves that we know that we're not doing a good job of communicating to those that we are asking to take care of us sexually.
Okay, let's go.
So bring them into that conversation. That is the attitude for this week. Find something that you know you can do to yourself better than anybody else. Spend some time with it and share it with somebody who is in the position to honor it for you. You dig?
And with that being said, the latitude. Simply, bliss is much easier to find when you spend your time embodying it.
Ooh.
And that's that on that.
Well, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, pronouns of all ages. Appreciate you coming through for another episode of Divine Masculine Activated, and we will see y'all soon.
Indeed. Trust God and keep your camel tied and your gunpowder dry.